Well, that one didn't go well. Is that quiver really taking that big of a jump on that? Oh. We'll see this bolt. Huh. Well, it's grouping good, it's just not where I want it. I say that was me. Check it out. You can check it out, that last one is the closest one, so. Okay, so you can obviously tell last one that's closest. The other two are a couple inches low to the right. I think that's me. And of course I got my arrows from 40 to my other bow, so.
Well, I've never been one to go by the rules. Well, I didn't care what was in. Well, I didn't care what was cool. Well, I've always been a little reckless and wild and free. The older I get, the younger I wanna be. Yeah, 'cause I'm still some kind of crazy, out on the edge.
Okay, so I did a crossbow review over the Centerpoint CP400, and I said best budget crossbow. And that was at a very, some people would say not budget price. In the crossbow world it was budget, but for maybe the average Joe it wasn't. That crossbow I've been seeing for about 650 bucks. They've been having a mail-in rebate. Call it what you will. I'm seeing from anywhere from 550, 650 to 750, depending on what model and everything and who you're buying it through, the distributor price. So I got told in many comments that's not a budget crossbow. Okay, well, I gave that one to my brother because he has not been practicing with his compound bow and needs something, and he shot it really well. So it left me without a crossbow, so I went to Walmart and got this Killer Instinct CP400. Hi CP, no, Fierce, right there, 405. Okay, and as you can tell, you can't tell on screen, it's pretty compact. There's my forearm, get an idea of that. I get sprout numbers. It's wider than the CP400, but the CP400 is one of the most narrow crossbows ever. So this, the thing that sticks out to me on this, and the one we need to figure out the most on, is this weighs in at 6 pounds. Now, I'm sure that's without the optic, without your grip, definitely without the sling, and probably without this. And might even be without your limb. But I can tell you this is still lighter than the CP400. One way they do that is this has no metal rail. It is all polymer, plastic, whatever you want to call it. As you saw in the intro to me shooting it. Did that affect it? I'm shooting offhand. I thought that was a decent group. For a 3-bolt group. And consistently, I can get them to touch. Okay, so bolts are not a problem. Like, the accuracy is there for crossbow ranges, which are, no matter what everyone wants to say, 50 yards and in. We all pretty well shoot deer with compound bows and crossbows, and when pulled, everyone shoots 40 yards. The average compound bow distance was 40 yards and in. Crossbow was 50 and in. So this is going to get her done. But quote Larry the Cable Guy. It came with a very basic crossbow scope, and it worked. I shot this thing originally with that crossbow scope. Now it does not have yardage, it just has turrets, and you have to basically sight in your 20 if you want a 20, whatever you sight that in, and then just kind of, you have to dope it out yourself. Like, okay, halfway between first turn, second turn is 30, you know, second turret's 40, you know, and so on and so forth. And that's what you got to do with that one. I did, however, put my, I don't know what brand it is. I think it's whatever brand Raven's scopes are. I put that on here because I like the circles and just having a little bit better accuracy out of it. But that scope's very usable, especially, like I said, 50 yards in. The trigger, it says it's a 3.5 pound trigger. I would say it's probably a hair higher. Definitely not above 5, but very crisp. So the CP400, I'd pull, and it'd break. And you really never felt a wall. So you just had to find your spot and just keep pulling, and it'd go off. This one's very much the opposite. You start pulling on it, and it's like breaking the glass rod. So better trigger than the CP400. Again, a little wider, but you know, is what it is on that one. Its advertised speed is 400. Now there's a train, I can't help that, guys. Advertised speed's 405 feet per second. Now, this is where I've really loved what Raven's done versus what other guys have done. Raven and now Centerpoint with advertised their speeds, or at least the CP400 was, with their 400 grain bolts. This 405 was advertised with a 370 grain bolt that comes with it, and they're over there. They're great bolts, but I'm not even gonna. They come with it. That's what you want to use. Great. They're 370 grains. I weighed them out. I'm not going to use a 370 grain bolt. I mean, I'm a 400 plus, and so we shot. I went out and got some extra bolts on that part. So since I have an adjustable scope, I can play with my weight of my arrows. And did it shoot that? I have no chronograph. I don't think it did. Killer Instinct, unfortunately, is not the best at reaching their speeds. Unfortunately, that's just not it. Like I said, Raven 10 point, they tend to advertise it, they hit it. Killer Instinct's been a little on the slow side. I'll bring that point up right now. So, I was shooting these Mayhem, Carbon Express Mayhem bolts. You can't see because finish is worn off, because I bought these at Walmart too with the crossbow. And if you follow Heavy Arrow, you know I like heavy arrows, and I have, so this was a 420 grain bolt. I have a 150 grain tip on it, bringing my total bolt weight to a 470 or 475. It's right there. And the reason I went with these over some other options I had at Walmart is because I found with other bolts, we started getting high FOC. It just could not take the over 125 grain tip. They had the base 125 is about as much as I could get away with. Once we started going over that, they started just getting crazy. I might play with some more in the future. Plus, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, these came with with 3 lighted nocks, so I'll play with it in the future. because Walmart also has some pretty good mossy oak bolts. I'll probably go over that too. So with this bolt and everything, my handy dandy speed scope is set to about 335, which shows you that it's not a 405 with a 370 bolt, I would say. I'm guessing, don't, like, you know, if Killer Instinct ever sees this and wants to come after me, I'm just throwing that out there. If you don't believe him, then don't do it. Usually 10 point says for every 25 to 30, no, every 30 grains of bolt weight, they lose about, what was it, 10 feet a second. So I put I put 100 grains on. I should have lost 40 feet, which would have put it at a 460 and so on and so forth. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a much slower bolt speed. So I'm assuming out of the box, you're probably only going to get 390 out of it, maybe 385, which is still good for the price point of this crossbow. It's still not bad, and maybe it just doesn't like these heavy bolts. So what's it come with? It comes with quiver, scope, 3 bolts, and the old handy dandy average cocking rope. Gotta stay focused here. Which, unlike the CP, it has just the old hooks instead of the sled. I'm finding this actually faster, but I've been told they're not as consistent. It is, however, Killer Instinct crank compatible. So for an extra $100 or so, I actually can't remember, they make a silent crank. You can put a silent crank on this bad boy and go to town. How does it shoot? Quite well, I might add. Again, for the price point of this bow, which I have not mentioned yet, and I'll get to that at the end of the video, is it shoots quite well. It shoots very much like the CP400. I can't tell a difference, and I remember when I was the CP400, when I was trying to bench rest shoot it, it was very difficult to shoot. This one was not. This one's very much less recoil, I felt like. However, I mean, it's just how it shoots. It's gonna be fine. I don't know. I'm sure there's more smooth crossbows out there, but for this price point, it's great. So, one thing I didn't mind, my brother didn't like, was the stock. He said the stock was too short, and he didn't like the cheek rest. I, however, had no problem shooting it. He also said that he liked the trigger on this better than the CP400. So, with all that being said, I'm going to be hunting with this and see where we can go, see what we can do. I'm putting at least a grizzly stick single bevel on the end of this bad boy, and see how that works. See if I can't get a bone-breaking bolt, and see how that affects in the crossbow world. And the total price out the door with taxes was $300 at my local Walmart. For that price, I don't think you can beat it. Are there other bows that I think in this price point would be competitive? Yeah, Barnett makes a lot of crossbows in this price point, and it looks like they're stepping up their game. PSE has one, and a lot of others, but right now this is what I've got, and this is my backup for my compound bow. So we'll see how this goes this season. If you like this video, subscribe. We are going to try to kill some deer, and you'll probably see this bad boy killing some deer. If you like this video, hit like button. I really appreciate putting out this content. I try to put out as much informative content as I can. And if you'd like to see more pictures and stuff, not just me, but my buddies and everyone we hunt with, follow Heavy Arrow on Facebook. It's deer season. I want to see all the pictures out there. So with all your Heavy Arrow builds, Heavy Arrow videos that you have, let's get seeing it. So, last but not least, remember to always, especially listen to Ed Ashby, and keep it heavy.